Here are the top stories for today, March 3, 2020. Malacanang dares columnist Tulfo to submit proof of former Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre's involvement in the Pastilla scheme. Lawmakers approve a measure giving special powers to President Duterte to fast-track the Build project. Male Capital employees in Ilocos Norte run wearing high heels in celebration of Women's Month. And the United Nations welcomes the Philippines' commitment to protect human rights. Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Our top story for today, media practitioner Tulfo on Monday accused former Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre on the supposed bribery of officials at the Bureau of Immigration. Citing information from whistleblower Alison Chong, Tulfo accused Aguirre of being the protector of the syndicate operating the Pastilla scheme. Laid Cabagani has the story.
Malacanang on Monday said columnist Tulfo should show proof that former Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre allegedly protected the Pastilla scheme or the supposed bribery of officials at the Bureau of Immigration. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo described Tulfo's claim as a serious allegation, noting that authorities could not act unless formal complaints are filed against the former Justice Secretary. According to Tulfo, it was Aguirre who placed the father and son tandem of Maynardo and Red Marinas to oversee the visa upon arrival system in the country. The scheme, which allows Chinese nationals to work as Philippine offshore gaming operators in exchange for 10,000 pesos grease money. The older Marinas previously denied knowledge of the scheme and left Bureau of Immigration in October 2018 when he ran for Muntinlupa mayor but lost during the 2019 elections. Panelo said he did not personally know Aguirre, but everyone accused of any crime or irregularity is entitled to the presumption of innocence unless there is evidence. Aguirre, however, denied Tulfo's allegation and vowed to sue him anew. Aguirre said he was ready to face anybody, insisting on his innocence. He will be summoned to appear at the next Senate hearing regarding the Pastilla scheme. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Laid Cabagani.
Malacanang on Monday urged Senator Richard Gordon to share his discoveries and provide proof that China may be using Philippine offshore gaming operators or POGOs for the intelligence gathering in the country. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo said if Senator Gordon has information, he should help the government by providing information so that authorities could properly address the matter. He said the palace may conduct its own investigation into the alleged Chinese spies, but President Duterte will most likely wait for results of the ongoing Senate investigation. Earlier, the Anti-Money Laundering Council, or AMLAC, flagged POGO for being a high risk for money laundering. Malacanang on Monday said it will not stop Philippine Ambassador to the United States, Jose Manuel Romualdez, from holding discussions with the U.S. counterparts about another possible military deal between the Philippines and the United States. On Friday, Romualdez said talks are ongoing between Manila and Washington to come up with something similar to VFA. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo dismissed the discussions as exploratory talks, saying President Duterte has not given him the authority to negotiate with his counterpart and craft a new military agreement between the two countries. He said these talks could be of future use, but he did not elaborate what he meant by it. Panelo said Duterte remains firm in his decision to terminate the VFA, as well as the 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty and the 2014 Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement. He said the government is ready to face the consequences that go with Duterte's desire to have an independent foreign policy for the Philippines. Meanwhile, Senator Christopher Lawrence Bongo on Monday defended the move of President Duterte to terminate VFA, saying Duterte is the chief architect of foreign policy and has the power and prerogative to terminate treaties. Go joined 6 other senators who abstained from voting on Senate Resolution 337, asking the Supreme Court to rule on whether or not the concurrence of the Senate is necessary in the abrogation of a treaty. Aside from Go, those who abstained included Senators Ronald De La Rosa, Francis Tolentino, Aquilino Pimentel III, Cynthia Villar, Amy Marcos, and Ramon Revilla Jr. Senators Manny Pacquiao and Pia Cayetano were not able to vote as they came in late. Senate President Vicente Soto filed the resolution after Duterte ordered the termination of the Visiting Forces Agreement between the Philippines and the United States. MMDA is pushing to get rid of rogue drivers on the road. And the House of Representatives is wary on the entry of $1 billion in the country. More on this from Rom Tulfo.
The House Committee on Ways and Means is looking into the national security implications of the entry of $1 billion in cold, hard cash into the country. This comes after Senator Richard Gordon disclosed that more than $160 million in cold cash was brought into the country from December to February. Albay Representative Joey Salceda says the implication of this matter on our national security is frightening, particularly the source of this money as well as where this money will go. In other news, the MMDA wants a ban on delinquent drivers of public utility vehicles or PUVs. MMDA General Manager Jojo Garcia says they already forwarded a list of drivers with an excessive number of violations to the Land Transportation Office or LTO. Their next step would be to get such drivers off the roads. Meanwhile, over 8,400 overseas Filipino workers affected by the temporary travel ban to China, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Macau received 10,000 pesos each as financial aid from OWA. The assistance aims to help stranded OFWs during the travel ban amid the continuous threat of COVID-19. Aside from cash aid, OWA regional offices also provided transportation assistance. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Rom Tulfo.
Still to come, lawmakers approve a measure giving special powers to President Duterte to fast-track the Build, Build, Build project. Male Capital employees in Ilocos Norte run wearing high heels in celebration of Women's Month. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
So, on December 19, 2019, this is the most important event in Philippine journalism history. And this is what I call the Day of Reckoning. It was a time the day when suspects or principal accused in the Ampatuan, Maguindanao massacre were convicted by the Quezon City Court that tried the case. And the conviction happened just 2 years after the families of the victims met with our president in Malacanang. We invited the families there on 23 November 2017. And during this meeting, it was the president gave us that the marching order to really see to it that the suspects in the massacre case would be convicted well within his term, and it happened last December. I'm going to share to you an anecdote that very few people know actually. It was the president in 2009, or on November 23, 2009, the day when the massacre happened. It was because of the president that the massacre site was discovered. He lent a leased helicopter when he was still Davao City Mayor. He lent that helicopter to the family of then Vice Mayor Toto Maundadatu. If not for that helicopter, nobody would have discovered the massacre site.
The House Committee on Flagship Programs and Projects on Monday approved a measure granting President Duterte special powers to speed up the implementation of the Build, Build, Build infrastructure program. House Bill 5456, authored by Albay Representative Joey Salceda, seeks to grant special powers to Duterte to adopt a national policy that will fast-track the implementation of flagship infrastructure projects on or before 2022. Salceda said the program should be supported with special powers to fast-track the implementation, as this would provide an inclusive growth translating to poverty reduction from 21.6% of the population in 2015 to 14% by 2022. The panel, chaired by Tarlac Representative Carlos Coanco, approved the measure to fast-track the Build, Build, Build program. The number of key infrastructure projects under the program went up to 100 from the original 75 after Duterte earlier ordered his economic team to revisit the roster of proposed big infrastructures. Around 9 trillion pesos will be spent on the implementation of 100 flagship infrastructure projects and over 10,000 small infrastructure projects. Those with symptoms of coughs, cold, and fever need not worry about being infected by coronavirus disease 2019, especially if they do not have travel history to the affected countries. Health Assistant Secretary Maria Rosario Verriere on Monday allayed fears of COVID-19 in the country, as there is still no local transmission yet in the country. She said only those who have travel history under travel restrictions and have the symptoms are considered persons under investigation or PUIs, while those who do not have symptoms are categorized as persons under monitoring. Meanwhile, the Education Department said there is no need to suspend classes with regards to COVID-19. DepEd said the suspension of classes depends on the alert level raised by the Department of Health or DOH. Since the country is now free after the 3 positive COVID-19 cases, the DOH has changed the alert level from level 2 to level 1. Red tape in key sectors of the government is seen to decline by half in a little more than a year through a program set to be launched by the Anti-Red Tape Authority. In a statement on Monday, ARTA said it will launch program Nehemia, a sectoral-based streamlining effort that would reduce time, cost, requirements, and procedures by 52% within 52 weeks. Sectors included in the streamlining are common towers and interconnectivity sector, the housing sector, food and pharma sector, logistics sector, and the energy sector. The announcement came after President Rodrigo Roa Duterte's signing of Administrative Order 23, or eliminating overregulation to promote efficiency of government process. ARTA thanked Duterte for AO 23, saying the order complements its Memorandum Circular 2020-02. AO 23 and the MC 2020-02 will both be used to eliminate the backlog of government transactions, expediting processes, and easing undue regulatory burden for the public. Several male employees of the provincial government of Ilocos Norte wore heels on Monday morning to usher the Women's Month celebration this month. Around 20 male capital workers joined the first ever Taray Zapatos de Tacong as they wore dresses and ran wearing high heels all the way to the provincial capitol building. The fun fair was also graced by Vice Governor Cecile Araneta Marcos, who thanked everyone for observing Women's Month with good vibes. Aside from the Taray Zapatos de Tacong event, capital workers also distributed kikay kits as well as hygiene kits to all pediatric and gynecology patients at the Governor Roque B. Ablan Sr. Memorial Hospital. Another upcoming highlight is the Kinikini or Swaying Hips Parade set on March 18 this year. Then on March 25th, a Gender and Development Summit will be attended by 1,000 women's groups at the Ilocos Norte Centennial Arena. Anti-drug agents in Cordillera seize about 23 million pesos worth of illegal drugs. Meanwhile, a drug suspect dies in a shootout with police in Maguindanao. More on this and other news from the provinces from Janice Cabe.
The Police Regional Office in Cordillera has seized and destroyed some 23.4 million pesos worth of illegal drugs from different operations in the region's provinces in February alone. The operations also led to the arrest of 40 persons for selling, transporting, and possessing illegal drugs, particularly marijuana. During the visit of Philippine National Police Chief Archie Gamboa last week, he said that while marijuana cultivation is part of culture, its cultivation, transport, and sale continue to be illegal. Procor Director Brigadier General Arvin Pagkalinawan said they would intensify the fight against illegal drugs and raise the level of anti-drug operations in the region. Meanwhile, the province of Antique is eyeing to become the first province in Western Visayas to be declared as drug-free. This following the launching of shelter for surrendered drug personalities in the municipality of Hamtik. Antique Police Provincial Director Roy Parenas said the establishment of Balay Silangan is a requirement for the province to be declared as drug-free. Antique, which has a total of 590 barangays, has 7 remaining barangays to be declared as drug-free. In other news, an alleged drug peddler died in a shootout with cops in Sultan Sabarongis town in Maguindanao on Sunday. Director Juvenal Azurin of the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao identified the slain suspect as Datu Ali Ahmad alias Pudzak of Sultan Sabarongis. Azurin said Ahmad refused to surrender peacefully and instead opted to trade shots with lawmen. Ahmad, who had about a dozen armed followers operating in Sultan Sabarongis, was among the top 10 most wanted drug dealers in the municipality. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
Up next, the United Nations welcomes the Philippines' commitment to protect human rights. And the first Metro Manila Summer Film Festival kicks off this April. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
Avocado alphabet alliteration, avocado accessories for admiration, bamboo's bumping, barefoot bounding, kinetic Cali combat, boom boom powering, digitally documenting, diving in the deep, beating everywhere, even on the street, galleries, graffiti and counts for the gram, hand-weaving heritage with hometown hands, island fortresses, illuminated lands, lakeside living with locals and lilies, mountain rides made with the Ifugao markings, nocturnal nightlife, neon navigating, that means keep on smiling. Oratories, officers, old world magic, bullets and prints from pineapple fabric, Rondalia rhythms, riffing on raps, sunset street dancing, Sampaguita craft, tribal tattoos in traditional ways, ultimate underground untouched caves, wild, wide, warm, welcomes await for you, and yes, you too. Be part of the tradition, the celebration, and the culture. Be part of the fun.
The United Nations Human Rights Council was seen to be receptive to the explanation defending the Duterte administration from allegations that it has violated press freedom and human rights. Presidential Communications Operations Office Secretary Martin Andanar made this statement from his speaking engagement at the 43rd session of the Council in Geneva, Switzerland on February 26. Andanar said he received favorable responses from the UN delegates as well as the Philippine Permanent Mission. At the same time, he rejected claims by National Union of People's Lawyers, saying his engagement sought to paint a false picture of the situation under the administration. He insisted that the Philippines remains a free country, has a prosperous democracy, and has a functioning and independent justice system. Moreover, he underscored how press freedom in the Philippines is very much alive and how it is the most vibrant in the Southeast Asian region. Besides his UN engagement, the PCOO has productive engagements with the international media, European Union parliamentarians, diplomats, and other dignitaries in other European countries. The PCOO also held separate film showing sessions of the anti-illegal drugs documentary film, Gramo. The Quezon City Prosecutor's Office has filed perjury charges against 10 other officials of organizations with long-standing links to the Communist Party of the Philippines' New People's Army. The respondents named in the complaint filed by National Security Advisor Hermogenes Esperon Jr. are officials of Gabriela, Karapatan, and the Rural Missionaries of the Philippines. They allegedly lied under oath in the petition for writ of amparo and habeas corpus filed against the government before the Court of Appeals. The petition for writ of amparo was dismissed by the appellate court in June last year. The court resolution granted a motion for reconsideration filed by Esperon last year to charge only one individual, Elenita Belardo, national coordinator of the RMP. Esperon alleged that the RMP collected donations to run 55 salugpungan centers whose operations were earlier ordered suspended by the Department of Education. Citing reports of the military and police and the testimonies of the Mindanao Indigenous Peoples Council, Esperon said these schools were training anti-government armed rebels. And in our foreign news, a member of Iran's Expediency Council died Monday from coronavirus disease 2019 or COVID-19. The official Islamic Republic news agency identified the fatality as Mohammad Mir Mohammadi, who died from the virus at a hospital in the capital of Tehran. Mir Mohammadi was a former member of parliament for QOM province. In 2018, he was appointed a member of the country's Expediency Council, which advises Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. The Health Ministry announced on Monday that the death toll from coronavirus in Iran has climbed to 66. Meanwhile, Indonesia confirmed its first 2 cases of COVID-19 on Monday. President Joko Widodo announced that a 64-year-old woman and her 31-year-old daughter were diagnosed with the disease. The two interacted with a Japanese visitor who had contracted the coronavirus. Fans of Filipino films will no longer have to wait for the Metro Manila Film Fest on December. The Film Fest is launching its summer edition with 8 films vying for honors. More on this from Joyce Kudis.
For the first time ever, a round of Metro Manila Film Festival will be held this summer after the Lenten season. In a press launch of the summer MMFF in Makati City, MMFF and Metropolitan Manila Development Authority Chair Danilo Lim emphasized that the event will be equally compared to its December counterpart. Noel Ferrer, MMFF spokesperson, joined by actress beauty queen Kylie Versosa, announced that the 8 films will be screened beginning April 11, Black Saturday, up until April 21. These films, chosen out of 24 submitted entries, include A Hard Day, an action film starring Ding Dong Dantes, Tagpuan, a romance film starring Shaina Magdayaw, Alfred Vargas, and Isa Calzado, Love the Way You Lie, a romantic comedy and fantasy film starring Zian Lim, Isa Pang Bahaghari, a family drama featuring Philip Salvador and Nora Honor, Love or Money, starring Coco Martin and Angelica Panganiban, Coming Home, a family drama starring Jinggoy Estrada, Ngayon Kaya, a romance featuring Paulo Avellino and Janine Gutierrez, and The Missing, a horror starring Joseph Marco and Riz Azul. Quezon City Mayor Joy Belmonte says the SMMFF will officially kick off through its Parade of Stars on April 4, 3 p.m. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Joyce Kudis.
Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. Malacanang dares columnist Mon Tulfo to submit proof of former Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre's involvement in the Pastilla scheme. Lawmakers approve a measure giving special powers to President Duterte to fast-track the Build project. Male Capital employees in Ilocos Norte run wearing high heels in celebration of Women's Month. And the United Nations welcomes the Philippines' commitment to protect human rights. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. To check out more news content, check our webpage or head on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, I am William Theo. Good day.